Oo, new avatar, like
Hello, hello, hello. Let's see, who do we got in here? Hi, Kylie, Shayna, Jennifer, Tristan, and Adsua.
Yes.
I'm just reading off the names here. We got Bonju, BB, Andrew, Noah, Daisy. Okay, cool. Well, we got a handful at least. We got 12 people. Well, you guys will be getting extra credit. I think we might have a few more people come on. I think so I sent out the email, and then I kind of finalized based off of the doodle results Thursday night, Friday morning, and sent out that email. But I didn't, you know, I hadn't settled on how to upload the movie yet, or where I was going to do that. And so once I did that and said, hey, I'm doing this, we're going to go with Sunday night, but here's the times. I'll bring up a link. I posted it in, so it's in Satori. I'm assuming that's probably where most of you guys found it at, but I also put the link to the video file, which is on my G drive, in Canvas under that assignment. So, and that had all the details in there. So I felt really bad. I meant to just copy all of that and paste it into the, you know, into like the class message, but. Well, okay. You know, it will be helpful for this because I really, really want to have a lot of discussion. If you guys could turn your video on.
Hello, Professor.
Hey, it also helps me get to know you a little bit. Yeah, what's up, Noah?
I'm glad you responded to my email. Yeah, I thought the video I sent was pretty cool about the corporate rights, but yeah, but do you have any sources? Because you said that you said that in like the 1880s, corporations used to be like limited, like 10-year existence or something like that. Do you have any sources or books that I can maybe look up? Or
I have, you know, I don't think I have any books for that. I have, and my 107 material is much thinner than my 108 material because I teach this a lot more. But if you just look into like the original charters for stuff like the East India Trading Company or the Dutch East India Trading Company, or you know, things like that, you can see like the limitations on their charters, like to incorporate. The government grants them a lease basically to charter this incorporation.
Sir, I just submitted my Constitution essay a few days ago, and on my third body paragraph, I wrote about Cass Sunstein's writings on the First Amendment, and he pointed out how it has evolved tremendously throughout history. And like when it was first instantiated, it meant to be simply prohibitions on doctrines of prior restraint. So you could not stop me from publishing a book, but if you're a politician and I was critiquing your environmental policy or something like that, you could retaliate against me if you wanted to. Like, did you see? So like, it was very limited. And I think what's significant about the corporations, where I learned about, is how in the 20th century, the Supreme Court and lawyers, they instantiated free speech to be wholly commensurate with property rights. So, and the thing is, that's why I was interested in Chomsky's lectures on how corporations, it went from charters basically to whole legal entities. And that shows how free speech has evolved in this sort of crazy way to be commensurate with property rights, which was not that I'm saying it wasn't what the framers.
Yeah, it's all backwards.
It's well, you could say it's kind of backwards, but do you see how like we enact it in a very specific fashion, and that was the purpose of my third body paragraph in the Constitution essay, how it's enacted. It can be enacted in different ways in plausible fashion.
Yeah, and with the AI and all that stuff, that probably will just get interpreted more and more strangely. Well, I think we'll probably have another person or two hopping in here. Like I said, last semester when I did this, we talked for like a few hours afterwards. I had to shut it down because it got really late. I can't do that tonight because after our church gathering, our worship gathering thing on Zoom this morning, we took all the kids down to Malibu we went to Zuma for a few hours and then rushed back up here. And I've got to get on that stereo app I mentioned to you guys for a few hours before midnight, because that's like when the weeks end, and they're paying me to do 10 hours a week on there. But I was slacking this week on that because, a lot of other stuff going on. So I'm going to have to hop over there. Any of you that want to, you are more than welcome. I'd love it if you wanted to check out the app and you make a little avatar and want to chat on there. Even you can just leave comments, audio. It's all audio. You guys should check it out. I actually think the next extra credit thing I do, I might have everybody move to that for the discussion, because it actually feels, even though we can see each other right here, it feels more conversational than even something like Zoom.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
I have other homework to do. I want to stay here because for discussion for the extra credit, and also it's just interesting to talk about 1917. I've seen the movie. But can I leave at 9:15? Can I just stay here for 20 minutes or 30 minutes, or is there a specific time I need to stay here?
I'm going to be off by 9:30 probably, maybe 9:45 at the latest. So we won't go crazy long or anything like that. So yeah, you can hop off when you need to. What you guys? So who saw that movie for the first time? How many of you guys that was your first time seeing it?
It was my first time seeing it.
First time too.
I watched part of it, but this was my first time watching it all the way through.
Oh yeah. Oh man. That must have been hard to just see a part of it and not be able to watch the whole movie, because
my husband was watching it, so I didn't get to see it from the beginning, so I didn't really want to see bits and pieces of it.
Yeah. Totally.
So I'm glad I got to watch it all the way through today.
I was glued to it. I was glued to that movie.
Yeah.
Yeah. It sucks you in.
I was not glued to that movie. I did not like it at all.
Who said that?
I love it. Oh, who didn't like it? That's me. I didn't like it at all. I was just forcing myself to watch it. I was excited when I saw Benedict Cumberbatch, but he wasn't even there for that long. So just went back to being irritated the whole movie. Especially when that guy died. I don't know, I didn't like it, especially when that guy died. It just kind of defeated the whole purpose.
So,
can I say something real quick? There's half the class in the other Zoom meeting waiting. We were there. So I just came to check here, and I see everyone's here.
Is this the right meeting?
Okay.
It's kind of confusing to figure out which link to go to.
Yeah, I actually on the assignment, which I thought I had also emailed you guys, but in Canvas on the assignment, I even copied this Zoom link in there. I don't know that I can switch out and go into another meeting while staying active in this. If one of you guys wants to drop out and tell them all, hey, come over, let's talk.
Yeah, try and do that, or one of you.
That'd be Stephanie. If you do that, that'd be great. Thank
I'll
you.
be right. Okay, I'll be right back.
Okay, awesome.
Okay, please don't start without me, please.
We'll keep it light. Yeah, I am. I think I've done that maybe. There was one office hour time. I was on my regular office hours, but it was earlier in the semester. I'm like, man, nobody has come on. Usually a few people hop on in an hour, and then I'm like, I think there might have been folks in the Wednesday night classroom. So it is what it is. It is what it is. Yeah. So this movie's really new. So it was great. It was great because it's won a bunch of Oscars, and A lot of people had heard of it. I've been thinking about a few movies, and I'd just be curious to get your guys' feedback on. So we're doing one. Ideally, I would have done one for Gone with the Wind right at the beginning of the class to talk about like historiography and revisionism and the South and the kind of. It's great for that, and it's probably one of the most seen movies ever all time in the world. This one is perfect for like trying to wrap our minds around something totally like crazy. Oh, hey, Stephanie.
Yeah, I already told them where it is.
Okay, great. Well, we will have more comrades joining us.
But still, be specific though. You said the same link. How we usually do our meetings. You said the same link.
I saw that.
Yeah, I was in the other link.
Yeah.
I didn't say the same link I used for my office hours.
Yeah.
I thought you did.
Yeah.
Because in the assignment on Canvas, I have this link posted in there.
Yeah, because that's how I got here.
I should.
Yeah, it's in the assignment on Canvas.
The assignment link, that's how I got into.
Okay, yeah, on the assignment link. Okay, yeah, so the right link is in there. And like I said, I did think I emailed that over to everybody as well. But, you know, you're here, and the folks that missed it, I'll leave the movie up. So, you know, if anybody else wants to watch it, or, you know, you're talking to somebody that didn't do this and you're like, oh yeah, you should watch it. I think it's worth watching. Even if you don't enjoy it, like you were saying, Bonju, like I don't know that enjoy that movie. I don't know if anybody enjoys that movie actually, right? I don't know that it's an enjoyable movie. It's kind of horrifying.
It was sad. It was nice, and I wasn't in denial to watch that.
The only thing I really like is that I felt like it was authentic, especially like seeing the trenches.
Yeah, and also it was a little bit suspenseful because you're like going to an enemy's territory.
That scene when they were underground and he was like bouncing on the bed, like, oh, that bed is big, and then that rat came in. I was disturbed.
Mm-hmm.
He was like, even their rats are bigger than ours. Okay. I was like, no.
Like I despise rats so much. They're just so gross.
So my dad was in he was in the Navy. My grandfather I never met, he was in the Navy too. Like they were both Navy guys. And my grandfather was like in the Navy in World War II. And my dad went in like the early 60s, right before Vietnam became an active military thing. So he didn't go to Vietnam. He got out before the war started. But he said when he was in the Philippines, he saw rats the size of beagles, like dogs, like Snoopy, like that big of a dog. And I'm like, because my dad told a lot of like BS a lot of times too. He's just like spin stories all the time. And I'm like, yeah, whatever, Dad. And then, yeah, I started talking to more people from other parts of the world and like, oh, dude, rats can get very, very big. That's why they eat them sometimes too. But yeah, so like the immersive scene into the trenches, right? Like that's such a powerful thing because I think we're probably at some point we've all seen, you know, the black and white footage or pictures or something. Yes, but Zoom is not working. What's that?
I got to read. I'm late.
I'm hearing static in the
We'll
back.
do it later. Look at the blue line, Mom. It's almost done.
Oh, your mic is on.
To mute.
Yeah.
Here, how about this? I will.
Oh yeah, where do you even get the link of that movie? Where do you even get that movie anyway?
So like I downloaded the movie and
You
then
downloaded it?
Yeah, and then stripped it of some of its more inhibiting properties, and then put it on my Google Drive, and then tried to put it on, put that link into Satori, which worked. I think it worked out okay because like I've tried to do that and put it on YouTube as like a private video, but man, YouTube, they flag it like that. It's down in like an hour.
Basically what YouTube does, it just like basically like deletes copyrighted. You can it is on YouTube, but you need to buy it though.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, because my parents were begging crazy to see it.
Hey, sir.
Yeah, my son wanted to watch it.
Professor, I'd like to present to you your mic's off, by the way. I'd like to mention something I saw from the movie psychologically, how most of the time when society is functioning, like hell, let's say, is symbolized as being underground, like something we don't see, something that's repressed. But in the movie, we saw the exact opposite. We saw skeletons over the place, and we saw the battlefields. It was like a living hell. But what's interesting, and here's the thing that blew my mind, is when the main character went underground, he found the woman and her child. And how
Oh yeah, that one I saw.
he built almost like he built a relationship with her, and he didn't kill her. I thought he was going to kill her. Like she might run off and kill. No, but the thing is, despite her being an enemy, they still bonded to some degree, and then he went back up to the surface where hell was. So that's strange how, despite there being literal hell on Earth, the nice and beautiful part of civilization still existed. It was just underground and hiding, and because hell was up above. And I thought that was so strange how he was like sort of like, I don't know, because like I think he was like supposed to be a hero in battle, but he still had that. He still went underground, so to speak, and found that the vulnerable parts of civilization that most people consider to be universally valuable. And I thought that was really beautiful. And like I said, it was a reversal from the normal, because usually it's like everything's repressed and hell is just underneath, ready to spring forward. But no, it was the opposite. I thought.
Yeah. No, that's really good. That's great. And I think, I mean, people talk about it as absolutely. People say war is hell, which it is. I mean, it's horrible. It's ridiculous. It's barbaric. But like this was hell on earth. It was like that. People were saying that because they're like, wait, 50,000 people died at the Battle of the Somme in like a month. No, just 50,000 of our people. They lost 50,000 people too? No, that's crazy. That's impossible.
It looked like it was nuked. It looked like it was nuked.
Yeah.
If you kind of look at the
total
background,
devastation.
it looked like it was completely nuked.
So I don't know if this is true or not, but I saw it on the internet. The territory No Man's Land, it's like everybody knows about it. And I guess on Christmas Day, they did a ceasefire and both sides, like, I guess, kind of celebrated together. Like they were actually, there's pictures of them like playing sports and like giving each other's haircuts. And then the day after Christmas, when everything was over, the fighting resumed.
Yeah, I was thinking of that actually when Noah was commenting it, because, here you've got this British soldier in a
territory.
Yeah, like, and it's this kind of tense thing, but they find their humanity over their kind of nationalism, or the kind of hysteria of war.
I thought he was gonna kill her. I really thought, I was like, dude, you better. I mean, not to be mean, it's just you gotta like shoot her.
I thought she was like he was like one of them. I thought she was like one of them, and she was like just able to escape. I thought she was one of that soldier. What was his name?
I thought she was a spy.
Yeah, I thought she was.
Just because they pulled out the guy from the aircraft, and then like they tried saving him, and in return he stabbed the guy to death.
Yeah.
Right.
Like no one doesn't know the fire on his legs.
Like what's up with that scene where they're like, which was filmed so crazy because it was like, oh, that plane's like, hey, it was kind of cool to see the dogfight, right? The way they filmed it, how slow and puttery it was, and sometimes those guys were like just shooting handguns out the side of there, like gangsters at each other. And their planes are slow. So it's like, yeah, that's kind of what air warfare looked like. But then they come over, he saves the German, and then the German stabs his friend.
You're like saving an enemy. You don't know they're gonna help you. They're gonna be thankful or not.
It just makes me scared of
Alina!
Oh, you're not muted.
What is that? What are you using?
Stephanie.
What?
You're not muted.
I know. I'm really asking you, what is that?
Oh, you're talking to me. I thought you were talking to it's a pipe.
Like,
I'm a little bit of a cliche being a professor.
I know people can still use that.
I don't, not a lot do. I just need one of those jackets with the elbow patches now. I'll be complete.
Um,
Did
no.
anybody else feel for like the brother who, when they found out like he died, like when he told him that he died, and it just like, to me, it brings the reality of war. Like everybody went to war, siblings,
That was so
and then
sad.
It was
parents
really
lost
sad.
like multiple children. It's really sad.
To be
And I
honest,
did not like the ending that he just went back to the tree. That it was a bit similar to the beginning. If you guys get me.
Mm-hmm.
to be honest though, with me personally, like I don't know if I'm just like used to watching exaggerated television, but I feel like it was anticlimactic. Like I thought the brother was gonna like drop to the floor and start crying, and like I thought it was gonna be so much more dramatic.
I don't think
How he
so.
took it, and then when he asked to like write to the mom, yeah.
Okay,
I think
guys.
it was like dramatic in like the perfect ways, because when he was in that truck traveling with the other soldiers, and he was telling them like, oh, I have to cross the bridge, the commanding officer was like, okay, just make sure there's witnesses, because some people like the war. And that's so
Right?
true.
Right.
Even like in
Yeah.
our war today, like people live for it. They love chaos.
Hey, sir. I was wondering, this may be because I think my interpretation of hell usually being below, but in the movie it's above, and humanity was buried underground but still existed. I think that's true. But here's something else. You know how at the end of the movie he sat around a tree?
That was what I'm mentioning.
Well, the tree has powerful symbolic significance in many religions. Like it usually symbolizes like rebirth or life. So it's just, and they could have been sitting in the middle of a field when the scene ended. So I was wondering, what do you think is the symbolic significance of the tree? Was it his rebirth, so to speak? Like his because he just finished his journey and he found out his brother was dead and he's trying to rebirth himself. And I was wondering what you thought about that. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good question because I don't know. How many of you guys saw Dunkirk? Did any of you guys see that? Yeah, Christopher Nolan did it, right? It's a Christopher Nolan film?
Yeah, Christopher Nolan did that.
Yeah, who's like, the Batman trilogy, Memento, Interstellar, Inception. He's fantastic. One of my favorite directors. He did this film. It's about World War II and the British and French forces that kind of tried to make a stand against Hitler as he's, blitzing and invading into the Low Countries and into Paris. It's like, I don't know, like 400,000 troops are trapped on the beaches of France and are like, they're going to get killed if the Germans catch up to them. And it's it's this crazy rescue effort that like lots of people die in, but they're like little boats, everything are like, everybody's pitching together. It's this kind of cool moment at the end, but there's no narrative to the story at all. And there's no narrative. There's not even really main characters. It's just like, what the hell is happening? Like, it's so unpredictable and some of it seems illogical and just terrifying and chaos. And it's like, well, I think that's pretty good for a war movie. Like war movies that we want to wrap too tight a package on are like, they don't like really, they kind of miss the point of war a little bit. Like having the guy get killed needlessly and then having his brother get, he has to tell his brother and like, well, they're already going to battle. But wait, what was that? What was that?
I don't think Eddie knows that he's connected, or I don't.
Oh, let me go.
Actually, until like 9/11, Dunkirk was like the largest rescue when it came to like using boats. I wanted to watch that movie because I wanted to see Harry Styles, but no, I didn't have the time.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Yeah, the part when they were on the in the underground where the rat was that a bomb or he shot the rat? I didn't understand what happened there.
Yeah, so it was booby trapped. They had like rigged it with like tripwires, and in other parts they were talking about mines, and that was like such a big thing for like World War I and II. And kind of afterwards, like the Vietnam War. And it's actually one of the things that Princess Diana was really well known for. She kind of made a huge international effort to like demine the world because kids would just be walking through fields and, you know, blow to smithereens or get their leg blown off. You know, it's horrible. But there's still parts of the world that are not demined, including parts in France from bombs from World War I and World War II.
Professor, I have a question. Have you ever heard of the Ghost Army?
The Ghost Army. Ah, man, that sounds very familiar.
It was apparently they were like they weren't like fighters, so they would go and like make stages where they would put fake tanks, fake aircrafts, troops, and then basically that's how they won D-Day. I guess they tricked Germany into attacking a fake base, and then they were attacked from behind, which I thought was really interesting.
Yeah, I did read about that actually, because it was kind of part of their intrigue, trying to, you know, make the Germans think they were going over one way. They put all kinds of false information out and stuff. It was pretty it's pretty good. It
was actually really interesting because they brought like theater professionals, they brought engineers and like actors to basically stage this whole thing, and that was part of their route to like oh, sorry, my son, because he watched it on infographics. Cool. So he's telling me that they would add audio and all that to make it realistic.
Yeah, the intrigue. I'm watching oh geez, I think I'm watching a thing on Amazon right now about the like beginnings of OSS, which is what the CIA will turn into. But they had to like, the British basically trained them in everything. And the guy that was like one of the main guys that was training all of like what the CIA will be was like James Bond. And they had like the gadget guy and, you know, like, here, hold up. I'm getting some echo. I'm going to mute everybody. There we go. And now chime in when you want to comment. And then when somebody else chimes in to comment, you know, mute yourself. You can go back and forth real quick, even if you want to, but I'll keep the echo now.
This movie reminded me of Saving Private Ryan.
Yeah.
A little bit.
Yeah. Yeah, it was like this mission, and it's like time sensitive, but also crazy, right?
And you're still going behind enemies' lines and just, yeah.
Yeah. If you guys haven't seen Saving Private Ryan, you should probably watch it. It's Steven Spielberg, I think Matt Damon, Tom Hanks are in it. And it shows like the tragedies of Normandy, like the, you know, Omaha Beach. I've never been able to watch that. I've never been able to watch it again though, because it was really intense. Right. I see some of you guys saying
Professor, I have a question. In World War I, I noticed in the movie that there were other people from other countries. Was that also true in World War I?
Yeah, and in some ways, almost more so, because in World War I, there was even more colonialism around the world than there was by the time of World War II. So like the British Army particularly, and you know, we come into the war at the end of 1917 and are like, we fight a lot of, you know, really good strategic battles right at the end there, but like the death numbers are, you know, the British and they lose millions. The Russians, they all lose millions. America lost like, I think 100,000 then in World War, which is, I mean, that's a lot of people, but but they had whole regiments made up of different, like I don't know what the names of them are, but like Sikhs, or the, you know, like the one kind of troop from India or Afghanistan. Were those the Gurkhas? I'm probably mixing stuff up, but they had, you know, Australians were fighting right alongside the British because they were part of the British Empire, as were South Africans, as were people in, from Scotland. And that's just for one country. All the other countries involved all had colonial things everywhere. That, so that game of like, think back to 1898, 1900, when America was in the Spanish-American War, Britain, France, Russia, Germany, Austria, they were all going nuts in Europe and Asia, carving everything out. And so, and in that, they made a bunch of treaties, and a lot of them were secret treaties that the other ones didn't know about. So it literally was like all of international relations was kind of being run by like it was like a game of Risk. Because like, I don't know if you get anybody does board games anymore, but Risk was real big when I was in junior high. And you basically like make shady deals with everybody the whole time and break most of them eventually in order to conquer the world and win the game. And that's what, that's what happens in World War I. It's like everybody had been trying to conquer the world colonially with their kind of military power, with their culture. But then they were really trying to take everything over. Eddie has a hand up, so let me see. I see that hand. I don't know what to do with it though. Do you want to talk, Eddie? You got something to say?
Can you hear me?
I can.
Yes, we can.
I can hear you, Eddie.
Okay, sorry. I'm having internet problems. I'm so sorry. I know you guys talked about when the plane went down and they're trying to help the guy.
Yeah.
My thought was, how many people actually died from being just having a heart and being humane of saving these people, like each other? Like, did the Germans do that too, or is it just us? I don't know. I thought that was kind of heartbreaking how you still have, you're fighting a Cold War, but you're still saving people, trying to get him out of the plane so he doesn't burn to death. How many times has this actually happened to all these other soldiers that we lost? I don't know.
And then in other instances, like I know I've read accounts of people like saving somebody who could have also killed them, and then like, them becoming friends. There was also like, I just read something about, it was like two dog fighters that like, airplane, gunners, but a German and American, but they became friends after the war and like stayed in contact because I think at one point, one of them helped the other one out of a burning plane or a crash or something like that. Which is a little weird for us to think about because war just seems barbaric. But it's a little bit more of like what the like laws of, the bodies in the river. But like the laws of combat, right? The rules of engagement would be like, well, you're trying to take your enemy out. You're not trying to like kill as many people as you can. You're trying to like get the advantage on them, outmaneuver them and force them to surrender. And like the biggest victories are the ones where they have, there's been very little fighting and the army gets the other army or, like a battalion or whatever, to surrender with like 200,000 soldiers in it. And that's like, well, that's a great victory. But in this war, and from here on out, we kind of start looking at them, not in terms of rules of engagement, because there's not really any close fighting going on. Ironically, the dog fights in airplanes are probably some of the closest fighting going on. Killing in warfare is on such a longer, such a further away thing than when it was like hand-to-hand swords and spears and all that stuff. And so, I don't know. That was, I see a lot of chat in here and I'm trying to like pay attention to both.
Can I say something?
Yeah, please.
Oh, okay. Well, I think like one of my favorite parts of the movie, and it's so like, it's very, very little, but I thought I had to like pause the movie after this happened. It was within like the first think like 30 minutes of the movie when I'm not good with names, but the two men, they go and they're about to go into enemy territory, and they're going through the
territory of the
trenches
Germans
and everything or whatever, and then they get to a part and he's like, oh, we need to take shelter, so they go in that little hole, and his friend kind of knocks him and he puts his whole hand inside the dead body.
I saw that.
yeah.
That was so gross.
That moment, I was sitting there and I was like, wait, one, like he just acted like that didn't even happen. And I had to pause the movie and I was like, that like kind of shows how like amazing he is, but also like that was so crazy to me. Like I sat there and I was like, that did not just happen. Like,
No, I know.
it was so crazy.
Because he's got like cuts on his hands from the barbed wire.
From the wire.
Like, he didn't have like a bad day. Like he's like a worse.
And I was like, oh my, that's a whole like he put it. Oh yeah, it was just crazy. I had to comment on that.
Looks like it was part of a back.
Yeah, somebody had mentioned the dead bodies in the river too,
and also the dead horses. And also dead horses. I was like, oh my god.
Yeah, because they were on horseback, and like that's kind of how the armies marched out at first, like
they
uniformed up in these like very proper, old, like you see in like colonial times, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they were lining up, and then out come the machine guns, and it's like, well, we just killed 40,000 people in one day, like one day. The first Battle of the Somme, it's like. No, I think it might be like 60. It's outrageously high. It's unthinkable. Nothing like that's ever happened in the history of the world because you never had huge industrial armies going at it like that with each other.
Okay, if you guys like did not know this, when you're about to like walk past that really huge puddle and you see like those really big wires, I'm not sure what they're called, and there was like a body inside of them. If you guys get what I'm saying, like after like walking past to that huge row of bodies, there was actually one of them in some sort of wires. I'm not sure what they're called.
Yeah, it's right when they got into Germany's front line, like the main part. He was intertwined in the barbed wire.
Like the ring of barbed wire.
But still, part was super suspenseful. Like when they're entering the Germany's territory. I kind of felt like there's like one like at least one soldier, like in what is that place called? I did heard of it, but it's something like that. Even inside, even underground, I kind of thought there would at least be one. It looks like it was abandoned, especially when it was destroyed.
Right, right, and the Germans were sneaky. They were good at like. Intrigue and espionage and international affairs, and Bismarck, the kind of first chancellor of Germany that united Germany in the Franco-Prussian War and made it actually a nation. It's only recently been a full nation of like all those German little countries, living together. He like masterminded Europe for like 20 years. I mean, he was like a master chess player of everything. And that's why I mentioned the OSS for America, because when we came into World War II, like we didn't have like an espionage division in terms of like foreign espionage. We had local domestic espionage like the FBI, but that's a whole different game, and Germany is really good at it. And so they did stuff like that all the time when they were tricking people and trying to draw them in or mislead them. And
besides, this was at the end of the movie. They did mention they were kind of planning this. So like, they were kind of like planning this type, like for the enemy to charge at them, and it will give them a perfect moment to get rid of them.
Yeah, and they were probably expecting a lot more people to be going through that spot all at one time, not two guys, right? Yeah.
I think the part that I liked was like the whole part where they're singing like Poor Warfang Stranger, and he's like totally exhausted, like thinking he might not even make it, comes upon the troops and they're like singing and preparing themselves for the battle. Then he realizes that he found the people that he was supposed to find.
I felt like the song It made me feel anxious. Like, even though it kind of sounded peaceful, it would make me feel anxious that I was about to go to war right after this song ends.
Yeah, yeah. I think anxiety is. I mean, I don't know how you don't have anxiety while watching that film. I mean, for me, and I'm a historian and I even feel like this. History movies are not always the most fastest moving movies, right? They're not like watching a Marvel film usually.
Yeah, I can understand.
That felt like 40 minutes long. Like I was like, what? It's over? Like,
That's
because it was just like the whole way through. It never stopped.
And I thought the Titanic was the longest, and it is.
Yeah, that feels pretty long. This one for a history movie is like,
It's pretty short.
wow,
Yeah,
that
it's
was
It.
fast.
I am used to watching 2 hour movies, but this one that was pretty brief. Pretty brief.
Yeah, it felt, which is probably a sign of great filmmaking. That
Yeah. Besides, if you can like see the when you begin the credits, this was told by the real person, I believe. Am I right? Or because I'm not really.
so this is Sam Mendes. He made this movie based on the
Experience.
true life story or like some events of his grandfather's experience in World War I, doing some of those things. So they wove it together in a really great kind of continually turning and snaking narrative. But yeah, it was like it's based out of real experiences, and he's got like a very personal connection to that story. And then he's also like just in terms of like what things were more accurately like, he did a great job, because a lot of you guys were noting the brother, right? How stoic he was when he received the news of his, that his brother had died and was just breaking up. And even the main character's like kind of just collected, and he's got courage and like, this is what I do. Like when he pops up out of that bridge and starts just like stands up and starts walking towards the sniper, I'm like, the ball's on you, man. Like, dude, I think I'd be hiding down there till it was nighttime. Like, wow. Yeah, like a lot of it is just like hard to imagine how that would even be. But people were more stoic then, and not necessarily in a good way. If you think about the things we read and talked about for like the Industrial Revolution, nobody had any time to process or have thoughts to themselves, or if they're really poor, have any leisure time. And lots of people died all the time from diseases and whatnot, and nobody ever talked about abuse, not physical, not sexual, not emotional. It wasn't even a thing. So like people were more stoic and they were more formal in those ways than like what we'd see today, because I think even the most unemotionally intelligent people we know today are like, they're not driven and disconnected the way folks back then were. That was like very much self-preservation. So like after the war, right, there are millions of maimed and disfigured vets now, people that have like, they've suffered horrible like disfigurements or blindness or seizures from mustard gas. They've gotten arms and limbs blown off. They're
And
blind.
also trauma.
And trauma. And that's
Basically like the
the
Holocaust.
biggest one. Like
and also,
everybody had that.
Like PTSD.
many traumas,
yeah.
different wars, traumas, like the Vietnam. I think that's what people are mentioning.
Yeah. No, that's totally right. It was, so like, you have all these vets returning that physically remind people of the war and what everybody, particularly, especially in Europe, not so much in America, but in Europe, everybody, like, it was a reminder of just how much hell on earth there was and how bad everything was. And They didn't treat vets good then. We really usually don't treat vets very well. We do a better job after World War II, but even that's not great because we're still not admitting that PTSD is a thing after World War II, where it's like, oh, I think the entire globe has been traumatized. Like everybody was traumatized by the war, and now we're all psychologically traumatized from nuclear weapons. Like, oh no. But we couldn't even admit that soldiers that had done horrific things in war or experienced unbelievable terror or had even just, broke while they were out there. We don't have language for PTSD. And there's a really good, so if you guys like this movie, there's such a good, docu-series. I think it's maybe like a 3-part. It's short. It's not a long one. It's called, it might even just be one movie, but it's called 5 Came Back. And it's talking about the 5 major film directors that went out to film the war, not just the war, but like specific parts of the war. So all the footage we have from Normandy was from I can't remember if it was Ford or Coppola or Stevens, one of those big major directors. Like he was in the like platoon boats, pulling up and letting people out in the water. Like his cameramen were running right alongside troops without any weapons, and tons of them died.
Oh Lord.
I mean, he said, so if you've ever heard the term, it looked like Omaha Beach, like in terms of blood. It's because the ocean was red. Like there were so many people that got shot and killed and blown up in such a small little space real quickly. But the director, he broke, like full on psychologically broke. Once all the shooting was done and the beaches were secured and they got all the Germans out of those little pillbox bunkers, he took off. Like he went AWOL. He wasn't even in the army. He was just a director. But like the commanding officer found him, I don't know, like 3 miles up the road in some French, house that officers were in. And he hadn't gone to sleep yet. And he had been drinking the entire time. Like he was on a 3-day bender, like, holy fuck. Like he completely snapped. And all the directors experienced that. And because they were so close up and had to, see so much of the carnage, but we're not like preconditioned to accept that. And they were storytellers. They actually had a huge hand in, developing or helping to promote or understand what we now call PTSD. But after World War I, we call shell shock because they like literally just, they shook for the rest of their lives. Their nerves were shot. They couldn't hold a glass. Like they were just done. It's so that's a really good documentary. I really enjoyed it. It was really well done. Just thinking about, war takes a lot of people. Like there were filmmakers there. There were filmmakers in World War I. And they ironically, they reshot a lot of the World War I footage because they couldn't get the filmmakers with the much more cumbersome equipment of 1914 and 15 close enough to the like actual, like really close battlefields. So they reenacted a lot of it, but even the aftermath shots and the reenactments, they made a film and played it in Britain in the, during the middle of the war. The entire nation went and saw it at theaters. It's too much, and it's different than warfare. It's different than warfare has been, and it's not different, It's different, and yet it's the same. It's the same things that keep propelling it.
Professor?
Mm-hmm.
Does somebody remember how many men did this soldier save? What was the total number?
1,600.
1600?
Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah.
And was it just me, or did anybody notice that he lost all his gear? Can you imagine going? He has no gear when he
He
jumped in
lost
the
it when
river.
he jumped in the river. Yeah.
He lost everything.
Right. And then when he's just like sprinting through
Running
the
with no
burning
gun.
German town, like
No gun.
just dodging bullets. You're like,
How can you dodge bullets since they're rifles? How? Like, how can
yeah,
you, like,
well,
or
so
they're just
like
bad at
in the
aiming?
Civil War and earlier than that, the Civil War, this is just rifling's just kind of becoming a thing. They're firing round balls, which are way less accurate. And the guns were less, they weren't machined with as much precision. So people died from backfires from guns all the time back then.
Makes sense.
And so if you were shooting somebody 30 feet away, you might hit somebody at 15 feet to their left because your gun was so inaccurate. These guns are certainly more accurate than the guns of the Civil War. But they're well, like you saw, they're kids. They're like 17, 18, 19-year-old kids. And some of them are, handy and they've got sharpshooter skills and courage and can figure that out. But most of them are just scared shitless. And, the commander he'd blow the whistle and say, "Over the top, boys," to tell, the next line of infantry to literally just run into machine gun fire and artillery. Like, nobody made it across Dead Man's Land. And the Germans just do the same damn thing. And, like, people started to freak, the soldiers freaked out. They're like, we're literally they started to know, we're just going to go, we're running up to die. And so they started to refuse. So the commanding officers would just shoot them and kill them on the spot, like, well, I can shoot and kill you as a coward, or we can send a medal home to your mother. Like, that's where they're, so German, and especially by the end of the war, 1917, they're starting to recruit older and older men and younger men. And they do the same thing in World War II. So does Japan. By 1945, Hitler's like inducting like 14-year-old boys into the army. You can see him doing it, like some last footage of him before he dies. Yeah, they're kids. They're scared kids. They don't have great weapons. Everybody's scared shitless. And everybody's they're manic. They're crazy. They lose control.
Basically, if he kills younger, they're like less experienced in the war. Besides training. Well, I see how people are in the military.
What do you mean?
Like you said, like mostly in some wars they like have younger men, right? Or younger people. Like, and you said like around like 17, 18, or 19. And you said like, and I forgot what you said. Something about Hitler. So can someone help me refresh my memory?
Hitler's in World War I, and
Yeah.
he is he doesn't like excel right away like in military, but he starts taking on those roles, frontline messengers, and he would run like psychotically, and it earned him the Iron Cross, which is like their Medal of Honor equivalent, or Silver Star, so somewhere around there. He earned it twice, but he never got promoted up the officer ranks because there's a little bit of aristocracy in the military and a little bit of the elitism with West Point or whatever, but not like in Europe. All of that's based on like the guys making the decisions are literally like the lords and dukes that own the most land. Like, those are the guys that are given them biggest military positions. So Hitler's never going to get one. And it also explains why a lot of their, military decisions were dumb ass. You're like, dude, that seems like clearly a stupid idea. Oh, you were just some rich, spoiled kid who's now like in control of, men and wants to boss your, throw your weight around a little bit.
Wasn't Hitler worth like he was rich too, wasn't he? Because he did publishing.
Yeah. So after the war, he actually gets mustard gassed himself during the war. And so he doesn't go blind or at least apparently have any big neurological, long-term consequences for it. But when the armistice comes, November 11th, 1918, he's in a recovery hospital, I think.
Asylum. Insane asylum, isn't it?
What's up?
I was watching a documentary and they were talking about that, and I think it was an insane asylum he was actually in.
Oh.
Maybe say Shutter Island.
Was that when he was supposed to commit suicide with his partner?
No. So this was like 1918, and I would believe he could have been in a sanatorium or something like that, but probably because the medical needs were so overwhelming everywhere all across Europe that they were turning, school gyms and stuff into hospitals as well. He had gone temporarily blind from mustard gas, and the news of the armistice comes, and this is probably very important to know. He never, the Allies or, whatever the British, American, French, Russian forces never set a foot in Germany. They don't get invaded in World War I. They had 8 million soldiers still, or men they said that could fight. But they knew the war was over. But Hitler, lowly people like Hitler, who's a corporal running messages on the front line, which is super dangerous, but courageous. He's not going to know that, Germans are starving to death. They don't have any food. They've been cut off from all other shipments and supplies from the entire rest of the world, which is going to not go super great for them. And so he starts crying, and he looks out the window, and he literally vows to avenge Deutschland, the motherland, which it's like a scene from a villain movie, right? It's this moment, I will have revenge, and we know it's going to come.
Sounds to mean, but what time does this meeting end anyway? It's almost.
Yeah, no, it's 9:45. You guys can hop off. You can hop off if you want. If anybody wants to, stay on for a few more clarifying questions or whatever.
Do we still get credit for participating or something, or?
Yeah. I'm loose on that stuff. We hung and had a good conversation about the movie, which is what I wanted us to do. And if you guys have, if you guys want to talk another 10 minutes or so, I'm game. But then I got to go, and I got to get on stereo. And you're all welcome to download it and get a profile and come hang out and talk with me on there. I had a full 5-hour conversation with a guy who lives in Palmdale last week about revisionist history and a bunch of the conspiracy theories that I think he believed in. It was really good and productive, actually.
5 hours?
What's that?
5 hours?
Yeah, 5 hours.
Oh.
We were on that app for 5, and over the course of 5 hours, about 700 people tuned in to listen. So it's well, this is cool. It's all audio too. There's no video. There's no written comment section. I'm really enjoying it, actually. It's probably the best social media app that is available.
So we can leave or no? Or something?
Yeah, you're good.
All right, bye and good night.
Bye, Stephanie.
Who was here and who wasn't? Should we write our name in the chat or?
I had started writing everybody's names down at the beginning, and then when Stephanie told me, "Oh, half the class is in the Wednesday classroom," I'm like, "Oh, go get them and tell them to come over here." And then there's a whole bunch more people. I'm like, "Oh, okay." I kind of lost track of doing that. So, I'll sort it out. I'll figure that out. I think I can look through the video. Yeah.
Professor, doesn't it automatically it takes attendance for you who attended and everything on Zoom?
I think if I don't know. I'll have to play around a little bit.
There is, I don't know, but I heard there's a way. All right. Well, good night. Thank you. See you Wednesday.
Yeah, thank you guys for watching the film. It's a great one, and I'm really glad that you guys got to watch that. It's gonna make reading about and studying about World War I so much more enjoyable and just easy. Like, you've just got such a visual like context for it now. It's like, oh cool, like you can really like imagine what this stuff is like when they're talking about machine guns and trench warfare and even the first airplane fight.
I think understanding the military helps a lot. Like just anything.
Yeah, no, I agree, and this is one of the things I have not enjoyed about online teaching is it's a lot easier to like converse with everybody outside of in real life, and it's much easier to talk to vets in the class, because I feel like I almost always have, at least in one of my classes, a vet or two on the GI Bill. And it's so helpful to have, because I haven't been in the military, though my, kind of family, they were military family. I did not. I was like, oh, I'll die. I will die in basic training. Like, I'll just spontaneously combust. I cannot do it. It wasn't like, if I'm honest, like my moment of like the military, I'm like, I could be in the military if I was like a general and could like, direct a bunch of stuff. Like, I'd be into that. I can't do basic training. I'd die. So I don't have any, I don't have a wide grid or like a really personal one for that. And vets do, they bring that into the classroom. People that like grew up in a law enforcement family or worked in or working in law enforcement bring a really valuable perspective, right? And this is what's great about community college, right? Like, sometimes we'll have folks in class that are like small business owners or have worked in like the corporate world, and they can tell you what's up, what that stuff's really like, and really bring in some context to that. And I feel like we probably get a much wider variety of that at community college than at any university or Ivy League school, because, well, you don't have a lot of like, 50-year-olds that ran a business for 20, did a business for 20 years and sold it and are like going back to change careers. Like, you might have a few that are super brilliant that are at Harvard, but not the way we do it at community college. So do you have any military background, Joseph?
I don't. I'm in ROTC, but like I just understand the breakdown of it, but other than that, no. But yeah. I'm actually at Long Beach. I'm only taking this class over here, so I can see the difference.
Cal State Long Beach.
Yeah.
I tried to go there. I applied to go there when I was transferring from ABC, and they wanted my math classes to be done a year before I applied. I'm like, dude, I started here with like remedial math. I'm like barely getting to statistics, bro. Like, so I went to Cal State Channel Islands, but I loved LB. It was, that's a cool campus. It's a good film department too.
You went to Channel Islands?
Yeah. The first year it opened.
Oh no, that school scares me. It's like I went there for a school field trip, and I don't know, the air there just smells like no. And
I thought you were going to say something about it being an old mental hospital.
Oh, I didn't know that, but now that I do, I'm not shocked.
Oh yeah. Well, so like
I've toured Channel Islands. That's true. It was an old mental hospital.
Yeah, like in the 30s during the New Deal, it was all New Deal money that built that, and it was like a state hospital, and then I think it became a state mental hospital, and then Reagan shut it down with all the other mental hospitals basically in the 80s and put hundreds of thousands of million, of homeless people.
It's across from the library, right? Their library, or no?
The school's library?
Yes.
Yeah. So like that they finished that the year after I graduated. I'm like, dude, our library was in a bungalow, man. Like they have a killer library now. But yeah, all those older buildings, everything new they made in the same fashion. So it's all Adobe Mission style. And because I went there the first few years it was open, there was part of one of the wings that was still like not really even sealed off that much and definitely not touched or renovated.
No,
And
they
then there
try to
was
use
an entire second wing that hadn't been touched since the early 80s. So like we busted into a couple of those places and it was super creepy. But it smells weird because it's like there's just tons of strawberry fields in front of it.
They try to use a selling point that it was by the beach. I don't care about the beach. I can't even swim. I just want somewhere that has nice smelling air. Like there was nowhere you could go to escape it. I remember they showed us like the living area and how they all had to share a kitchen. I don't think I could cope with that.
Okay, the area, okay, how long ago was that?
I was in 8th grade, so maybe like 3 years ago.
Okay, so like, I don't know now, like I drove through there last year, but I haven't been on campus in a while. But when I went there, the air, it smelled, it's not like you would not find that smell in a potpourri, but it doesn't smell bad to me. It smells like it's just really earthy smelling.
No, I was ready to leave there the moment I smelled the fresh air and the bus gasoline left my air. Like as soon as the bus, like like when you are on a bus, you smell like the gasoline. As soon as the bus drove away and I smelled the Channel Islands air, I knew it wasn't for me. That's
unfortunate. I love driving through strawberry fields on my way into school, like kind of winding back behind those mountains. It's actually a great school because I don't know if this is still true, but they were Cal State University, which is the largest university system in the world. It was making that their flagship school for like the whole Cal State system. So especially when I went there like 18 years ago or 16 years ago, everything was brand new because it was like a brand new school. And so all of the classes were like 12 people, but we had some brilliant people in there. Like we had a few teachers from Harvard and stuff like that. It was really good. We had like really small classes, all brand new technology and a very flexible administration because everything was brand new. I really dug it. So, but the earthy
That's something I like about it compared to like a school like UCLA where it's like half modern and half old. Like my eyes can't take the visuals. It's kind of bothering me.
Well, and it's 40,000 students. So you'll have some higher degree of caliber of teachers or faculty, but that's a city, Long Beach is like that. Long Beach is huge. Northridge is, we got a lot of huge colleges in California. Most of the Cal State colleges are huge because they're affordable and, decent schools are good schools. But this one's the same price, but it's pretty nice. I like it. So, yeah.
Yeah, I had all my classes for ABC, like every one of them, and then I got into Long Beach, and it was just, so I waited until if I can get all my classes at Long Beach before I said yes and dropped all my classes here. But I kept this one because I needed a history class.
Right on, man. Right. What's your major?
I'm pre-aeronautical.
Oh, okay, cool.
So.
And do you want to go into the Air Force with that? What do you want to do?
Yes, I actually applied to all the military academies, and I almost got into Naval Academy, but unfortunately didn't get in. I think I'm gonna try again, but
you have to know like senators and stuff to get into like Annapolis or anything like that. It's like it's kind of like Hollywood. Process. It's about who you know.
It definitely is. It's a crazy process. I did it, and is insane how much time it takes.
Yeah. Well, cool, man. I love that, Joseph, and I'm look forward to your comments, about military kind of things, and you've probably spent more time thinking about military things than the majority of the class. It's probably fair to say.
Yeah, I definitely watched like military movies and stuff, so I understood the movie, and it was like the soldier's perspective, but still a person.
Yeah,
Still person.
Very personal. Well, you should watch Five Came Back, that director's film. You'd like it. It's just so well done. All right, guys. So I gotta hop off and switch over to stereo, and I gotta switch over my phone because my iPad is at 8%. But this is great, and I'll tomorrow on Monday, but available Monday from 4 to 5, and then of course during the class time for the Wednesday class, 6 to 9. All right, guys.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye, thank you.
Bye.